here we are at the place where you start stitching the pocket. So I've knit across from the beginning of round the number of stitches I needed to, and I've already taken this off. So I'm just gonna slide my right hand needle out of the way. I'm gonna take a double pointed needle and I'm gonna knit across the required number of stitches. So for this size is 10, and I'm gonna knit those onto my double pointed needle. Sorry, the beginning's a little finicky. I'm gonna pull that tight because I don't want a loose join where the pocket starts. So 1, oh my goodness, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And now I have this amazing tool that my sister-in-law got for me. It's just some tubing that you can put on the end of your needles, and it's just like a needle stopper. And I have other things that I can use, but this was handy, so I put that on those. That way I know my other stitches won't slide off. And now I'm gonna knit back and forth and count the rounds. I'm also, just to make the counting easier, I'm going to put a stitch marker on this stitch. I'm going to hook it in there. That way I can keep track easier and I know where I'm at. So I've got my stitch marker on that side, and now I'm going to turn my work and come back in with my other double pointed needle, and I'm just going to purl across those stitches, and you're going to work in stockinette stitch until the pocket is the correct length. I think this one is, it's like 2¼ inches long. So I'm gonna knit 32 rounds in stockinette stitch. And you can see here I'm purling with my right hand instead of my left hand, and I just kind of go back and forth. Something this small, it just feels easier to do with my right hand. I feel like I have more control. And then I'm gonna flip the work back over and go and knit back across. And I'm just gonna do this for the number of rounds that I need. Okay, I've finished knitting all my rounds for my pocket. This is where everything looks really weird. So if you're unfamiliar with how the pocket's going to work, I thought a little visual would be helpful. So you've knit the entire lining of the pocket, that's what this all is, and it's gonna be folded up like this, and you end on a purl row, because when you turn your work around and knit across, you're gonna join it in the round. And it won't be joined at this intersection right here until you knit all the way around, you knit your other pocket over here, and then you get back to this side. So it'll just be half attached for a while. And then as you knit, you'll knit down this way, and it's gonna cover all of this. And when you're all finished, you'll just sew up the side seams. And the pocket depth is kind of arbitrary because you're not really gonna put anything in there. It's just for looks, and the only thing is you see a little ridge at the base of the pocket. So if it was too short, it would look weird. Let me see if I have an example of that with this one. Let's see. So with this little pocket, you can kind of see the bump and the outline of it. So if it was really short, like this, it would just be weird and it wouldn't really look like a pocket, and we want it to look aesthetically pleasing. So that's why we knit it to the length that we do. This was another sample I made early on for her. So we're gonna continue on. And I just wanna show you how this part looks because I was really confused in the beginning. So I'm gonna leave my stitch marker on here just so I can remember how many rounds I've knit in case I've strayed from the pattern, which is ironic because it's my own pattern, but anyway. So I'm gonna take the stitches on my double pointed needle and I'm gonna knit those onto the right hand needle. And I wanna knit this first one really tight and like cinch it up a little bit like that. And we will come and fix that join on the next round. But for right now, we're just gonna knit across these stitches. And then when I get to the end, my double pointed needle's done, so I'm gonna set it aside. Now I'm gonna grab my left hand needle and I'm gonna switch to knitting with my right hand. I feel like I have not necessarily more control, but I knit tighter with my right hand, and I want this join to be nice and tight. So I'm gonna come around and knit one. I'm gonna pull on that yarn pretty tightly. And then I'm gonna knit all the way around to the spot where the second pocket will start. I'm just going to show you kind of, it looks really weird right now, and it will look weird until the end, until you sew it together. But there will be, I don't know, fabric, yarn, I don't know what you call it, knitted fabric that will cover this part of the pocket so you won't see it, and then the ribbing will be just at the base of it, and it adds a really nice little finished detail. Okay, here I am again about to start the next pocket. So I've knit all the way around to the certain number of stitches before my beginning of round marker. If you can see that in the video, there it is right there. And now I'm going to knit these stitches onto my double pointed needle, and I'm going to take this needle and pull it so I don't lose my stitches. And this one is going to be a really tight join. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And just like before, I'm going to work back and forth in stockinette. I'm going to put my stitch holders on these needles so my stitches don't slide off. This yarn is a bamboo cotton, and it's pretty slippery. With wool, I think you'd have less issues, but this particular yarn is really slidey on my needles, so I like to use the stitch holders just to make sure. Now I'm going to knit this pocket all the way down and show you what the join looks like when I join everything in the round again. Okay, I finished my other pocket. I've knit all the way around past my beginning of round marker, and I'm just going to show you the join from this pocket to connect it all. It's really nothing special, but I thought it would be nice to see. So I'm going to knit right up to the stitch where I started my pocket right here, and then see how this one is, nothing's attached to it yet. So you're just going to stitch or knit the first stitch of that pocket really tightly, and then knit across. And that join will be weak, but when you go back and sew the pocket up, you can kind of reinforce it and it makes it better. And then you're going to knit across the pocket, and then that stitch where we connected it, you just want to make sure that one's nice and tight as well. Just helps keep everything, see how there's just that one little strand and it's loose. You just want to knit that tightly, and then you're going to knit all the way around, do the same thing with the join for this pocket right here, and then you just work in stockinette stitch until you've covered the pockets, and you knit a little bit more, and then we'll get to our ribbing.